What is going on, shrimp keepers? We are currently live with Flip Aquatics. What's going on, guys? I'm rocking the different shirt. This one is it's actually Ken's shirt, the color that Ken wanted, and so I got it special ordered for him. But that's what we got going on with that, and hope you guys are having a good Sunday. I actually had a very productive Sunday. We've actually been doing a ton of construction lately. Mark's been working a lot. Ken's been helping. Tyler, our new guy, has been helping a lot. And we've been doing a good job. So the new construction, the new shrimp room is actually like coming along really, really quick. And so that's really exciting. And so I can't wait for that. But it'll be really good to have that thing done. And oh, man. I'm still so excited about it. So that's coming up soon. What's other news? Oh, I did my first edited video on YouTube for like the longest time. I posted earlier today, I think at like 4 o'clock our time. So that was really cool. I had some free time today and I was like, you know what? Haven't done a video in forever. Might as well do one real quick. Let me mess with my webcam real quick because it is driving me crazy. Let's see. Logitech. But I hope you guys are having a really good Sunday. I mean, for sure, because Sunday is the best because it's one day before Monday. Ooh, that's too close. We can get real close. We'll zoom in a little bit. Do a little bit of this. There we go. There I am. All right. So we're good to go now. Let's see if we. Oh, perfect. All right. So webcam set up now. I don't know why it wasn't set up. But let's see who's here. Let's give a shout out to everyone. S. Luzio, first one in the house. Tori Cook. I know I saw Savannah at the very beginning. We got a lot of people here now. CNH Aquatics. Mimi's Aquatic Addiction. That's an awesome name. Cindy Lou Roman. Candy's here. What's going on, Candy? Speakeasy Aquatics. So Shrimp. Breeders. Crazy random name here. Stormy Mist. Emma's in the house. Miguel Rodriguez, Richard Huff, Mike, Luis, Michael, Buster, Darren, Jim, a lot of people here. So great to see you guys here. Yeah, definitely hit the refresh button if you can't see it. People are commenting about the tiny tanks in the background. That's actually a project for Amanda that's coming up pretty soon. She wanted to do some, so I got some over. Wait, let me turn this way. I got 2 over here. I got our this is so cool. So at at Aquatic Experience, we took a picture. All the YouTubers, well, not all of us, but the majority of us that were there took a picture with the sea lions. And so I think I'm actually right there. And I got the sea lion on my head. And then Kasha, Creative Pet Keeping's right there. She has the other sea lion. That was just a great time. So I found that picture going through the stuff from AE and was just jacked up to find it. But yeah, so Amanda's doing a project with these tanks behind me. You can see we got rid of one of the Shrimp King tanks. We still have 1 Shrimp King tank left right there. Still got Taiwan bees in it. Don't know how they're alive, but they're still doing good. But yeah, so we had a lot of stuff going on. This new build project has just been a blast. Like really, really am enjoying it. I love seeing the progress. The first part of the addition was building my office. And then the second part is building out the reef room. That's so we can move all Ken's stuff in there. And then the next part is actually building the fish room. And so the office is getting really close to done. We need 1 more wall put up. Well, I guess technically 3 more walls, but it's basically 1 wall. So we got to do that. We got to frame in a door, things like that. Then I got to run the electrical, which I'll probably do tomorrow. Insulated drywall, all that kind of fun stuff. So that project is coming along really, really quick, well, probably not as quick as I thought it would, but in a realistic time frame, it's coming along really good. So, and no, the tanks behind me are not Dennerlo. They're actually Sephora or Sephora. They're nice tanks. We get them from our wholesaler, and so we'll be setting those up soon, which will be a lot of fun. So yeah, so we got a lot of good stuff going on. Really excited about it. Today we're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about beginner shrimp. And basically just like answering your guys' questions about keeping shrimp, the basics, what tank size, things like that. Just what type of shrimp are good beginner shrimp. Like everything you need to know if you're a beginner. Like we're going to try to cover it today. I can't promise you we're going to cover it all because we get distracted, that's for sure. But we are going to cover as much as possible. Anyway, so it'll be a good night. We are doing a shrimp special this week. We are doing a 20-pack of cherry shrimp for $39.99. I think normally they're $3 a piece. So, I mean, roughly 20 cherry shrimp would be $60. And this weekend through Monday, we're doing a special on them. So they're only $39.99, I think it is. And if you're interested in getting some cherry shrimp, especially after today's talk, there's a link down below, the coupon code, everything like that. You just go below. If you forget or anything like that, you can go to our website and there's a pop-up that comes up and you can sign up and then get the code emailed to you. That's another good way to do it. But we do have that going on. So anyway, I forgot water today, so that's going to make things tough. But I do have a handful of mints, so I'm ready to go. But let's get into it. Let's see if anyone has any beginner questions to start us off. But if not, I'm just going to keep talking about some things that I think are good for beginners. I'll start with tank size, temperature, things like that. What type of shrimp are good? Kang Yang says, what do you feed shrimp trying to keep ghost shrimp? So this is my number one food. I know there's a glare. It's called Shrimp King Complete. My buddy Chris Luca and Dennerla, which is up here, it's a big company in Germany. They manufacture this food. And honestly, it's the best food that I've used. I personally use that in all of our tanks. And I just think it's a great food. It's a little expensive for something this size. It's I think it's $19. You can catch it on sale for maybe like $15. That's a good sale. But it is expensive, but it is an awesome food. I highly recommend getting the Shrimp King 5-in-1. It comes with their 5 best foods, and it gives you enough for, say 6 months for a small colony of shrimp, something like that. And it gives you all like 5 different types of food, so they're getting a good balance of nutrients and all that good stuff. But I highly recommend that. Crazy random name here says, you always do sales. I want when I don't have money. I'm not paid until next week. Oh, no. Well, that's no good. Let's see what Redbeard said. Redbeard Aquatics said, had my first cherry shrimplets yesterday. That's awesome. That's good stuff. Tania Richards says, just wanted to say after watching some of your content, I persuaded my husband to buy me a tank for Christmas. No shrimp yet, waiting for tank to cycle. That is awesome. You need to get your husband into the hobby. B. Wimmer said, can you put cherry shrimp on fluval shrimp stratum if they have soft water? If you have soft water? Put it this way. I had a 40-gallon tank back when I used to do it at my parents' house in the basement. I had a 40-gallon tank with fluval shrimp stratum. I remineralized the water to crystal red parameters, about 150 TDS. And I had fluval shrimp stratum in that tank, and I put cherry shrimp in there, and they bred like crazy. So, is it possible? Yes. It is definitely possible. Is it best thing to do? Probably not. But it definitely could work. Nisi's in the house. What's going on, Nisi? Nisi said, how many shrimp can you keep in a 20-gallon long? Well, to answer that question really quick, I would say keep and breed probably about 100. Probably about 100. That's about how many like the colony should be at. Now, you don't want 100 adults. That would be a little crazy. I mean, you could. I would say like maybe 50 adults and then 50 babies or 100 babies or something like that. My favorite plants with shrimp, definitely Java moss. I'm becoming a huge fan of Sawasser Tang, so I would highly recommend that one. I mean, floating plants are good, but it makes it hard to find the shrimp and keep track of the baby shrimp. But floating plants do work, so you could do like hornwort or something like that. Favorite filter for shrimp? My favorite filter for shrimp is a matten filter. It is by far the best filter for shrimp, hands down. Hamburg matten filters, not hamburger. I've said that before. Hamburg matten filter, HMF filter. They are the absolute best. We started getting them made for us from a company, and we actually sell them on the website. You know, not saying you have to get them from us. You can get them from whoever you want, but we're very reasonably priced. And again, the reason we sell them is because we use them in every single one of our tanks. They're just an excellent filter, and they're really easy to clean, maintenance, really easy to run, cheap to run, everything like that. They last for forever. More beginner questions I see all the time. I don't know if that's a question, but there will be some. Let's see. Why do my shrimp drop all of their eggs? Loki asked that. I would say if your shrimp are dropping their eggs, it must mean that something is off in your water. Whether it's too soft or too hard, whether you're doing too big of water changes. There's definitely something in the water that they do not like, or maybe they get scared. I know people have said that, like, if you have them in complete darkness and then turn the light on all of a sudden, like, it could scare them and they drop their eggs. I don't really think that's true, although it could happen. So I would say if they're dropping their eggs, probably something in your water is not good. So I would start there. If you think your water is good, then maybe not do water changes for a month and just feed really light and try that, and so on and so forth. Who said Agua said at Flip Aquatics, what's in your Neo Caridina package? So we do sell a Neo Caridina shrimp starter pack. You can pick whether you want cherry shrimp, Bloody Marys, fancy blues, oranges, carbon rillies, things like that. And what comes with it is it comes with a shrimp net, shrimp food, and then Indian almond leaves. So along with that note, there's three things that we recommend for every shrimp tank. First of which is Java moss. I think Java moss is very, very important, or some type, even Sawasser tang would work. Those are all really, really good. The other one that I highly recommend is, oh my gosh, driftwood. Driftwood is a huge one. The reason I think driftwood is so good is because it has so much surface area, and no one's going to take the driftwood out and scrub it. So it ends up creating a lot of biofilm, algae, things like that. It becomes a natural feeding ground for shrimp. It's a good place for shrimp to hide in or hide around when they molt. Because when shrimp molt, they're very susceptible to attack and things like that. And then the last thing would be Indian almond leaves. I think having leaves in an aquarium is huge, again, because it provides a natural food. It also leaches tannins in the water, which tannins basically are whatever is released from driftwood, whatever is released from leaves. It's the stuff that changes the water like a brownish color, basically like tea would. So think of tea as tannins, and you're putting tea into your water, more or less. And so I just believe that tannins are huge. It simulates the natural habitat of shrimp. So there's just a lot of good things about that. But yep, Java moss or Sawasser tang, or any type of moss, driftwood, and then Indian almond leaves. Those are the three things that I think every shrimp tank should have if you want to be successful. Delicia said, what is the best filter for shrimp keeping? We kind of went over that. Matten filters are amazing for shrimp keeping. They're absolutely perfect. The surface area, like, the reason we love matten filters so much, the reason we love matten filters so much is because they take up a whole wall of the aquarium. And basically all they are is they're this wall, and then there's a little tube that goes through, and it shoots water through, and then it sucks water through the sponge, and it just keeps revolving around. And so this sponge wall, again, becomes a natural feeding ground for shrimp and the babies and everything like that. And if you have one in your tank, you'll notice that the majority of the time shrimp will be hanging onto that matten filter, and that's where they'll be 99% of the time. Darren said, what do you treat Bloody Mary the same way as cherry shrimp? Oh, do you treat Bloody Marys the same as you do cherry shrimp? Honestly, we treat all of our Neocardinas the exact same. They get the same parameters. They get fed the same, same amount of light. Everything's the same. We don't do any special care for cherry shrimp. We don't do any special care for Bloody Marys. We don't do anything special for, you know, fancy blues, oranges, carbons, anything like that. They all get treated the exact same. They all get the same water. Everything is the same. But with that being said, I would say cherry shrimp, at least USA bred cherry shrimp, are hardier than pretty much anything else. Now, it all depends. You know, it's all relative. So Neocardinas in general are a good beginner genus of shrimp. They're more or less the beginner shrimp. They accept a wider range of parameters, everything like that. Now, one thing to know is Neocardina shrimp, they like hard water. So I always say there's two parameters you have to know if you want to be a successful shrimp keeper. It's GH and KH, which is general hardness and carbonate hardness. KH is probably the most important in my opinion, because if you have a really high KH, nothing's going to do well in your water, at least in my experience. Now, cherry shrimp might, but you want to have a KH if you're keeping cherry shrimp or Neocardina shrimp, a KH between, let's say, 6 and 10 at the most. Now, it could be less. It could be 4. It could be 3. It could be 2. You don't want 0. You want some KH in your water because that's what's going to hold the stability of your pH. It's not going to let these huge fluctuations happen, and that's how you can lose shrimp. Now, GH, you want to have a high GH, which stands for general hardness. And a high GH is just going to be like the mineral content of the water, more or less. Now, general hardness, you want it to be between, 10 and 20 is pretty good. Anything over 20 is getting way too hard. So 10 to 20 is really good for Neocardinas. Now, again, you can get away with a little bit less than that. But let's say you have like a GH of 6 and a KH of 1. Odds are you want to go with Caridina shrimp instead because they prefer water like that. So if you know GH and you know KH, then those two parameters can tell you, dictate whether or what type of shrimp you want to keep. So find out your GH, find out your KH, buy an API test kit. We sell them on our website. You can get them on Amazon. You get them from wherever you want. Find out those two parameters, and you can find out what type of shrimp you can keep in your aquarium. So I highly recommend that for any beginner, is figure out your GH, figure out your KH, and then go from there. But I'm done beating the dead horse. We'll move on from there. But yes, we treat all of our Neocardinas the same. Let's see. I don't want to miss any questions. Man, you guys are asking a lot of questions. Now I got to figure out where I was. All right, so I might miss some. Oh, here we go. TJK said, is 6.6 pH too low for Neos, specifically Blue Dreams? My pH has been buffered more than expected. How would I safely raise it? So, again, this is following up to my last point. Don't worry about pH. Don't worry about anything other than GH and KH. And trust me on this. Make sure your GH is above 10 and below 20. Make sure your KH is above 4 but not over 10. Now, again, if there's a little bit of difference one way or the other, you're going to be fine. But if you know your GH and your KH, then you can pretty much tell what type of shrimp you can keep. Don't measure pH. Don't measure anything else. Now, you can measure things like ammonia and nitrate and nitrite, and those are good things to know because you don't want your water being toxic to shrimp or any living inhabitants. But with GH and KH, you can really make a huge difference. Stormy Mist says, what is the best number of shrimp to start with? That is a great question, Emma. Thank you for asking it. The absolute best number of shrimp to start with is 10. I say never start with less than 10 because with any animal, when you get them, you're going to have some die. Let's say you get 5 shrimp and you get them in and 3 die or 2 die. You really decrease your chances of having males and females, diversifying genetics, everything like that. 10 is a perfect number because say 3 of them die, you got 7 left. We always send 2 extra, so you would have 9 left. And then, those breeding, you're going to have a couple males, you're going to have a couple females. They're not crazy amount of interbreeding, and then you're going to be good to go. So I say start with 10, and you can pretty much be successful with any size aquarium, unless it's like a 400-gallon. Hint. We're getting a 400-gallon shrimp tank. That's coming up hopefully pretty quick. Jonathan Lupton in the house. Jonathan is my uncle. Shout out to Jonathan for being here. I hope he's still hanging around. Jonathan's my uncle. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. Just an awesome guy. He said, could I keep shrimp alive in an office environment? And so I've actually been talking to Jonathan. We're actually going to set him up with one of these cubes for his office and basically give him a print off of how to keep him alive, what he needs to do, everything he needs for his tank. And we're going to see if he can keep him alive in an office environment. And so, Jonathan, thank you for being here. John, it's so cool to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us. But, yeah, great question. Shrimp are an absolute awesome pet to have for an office. Because the thing is, you literally can set up their tank. They can go a couple days without feeding. If you're off for Christmas, they can go a week without food. You know, they can definitely survive with limited effort. You know, most people complicate shrimp keeping because they do too much. Like, they do too many water changes. They feed too much. They're messing with the tank too much. The best thing to do with shrimp is just put them in a tank, leave them alone, let them do their thing, and do minimalistic things. So that's what I recommend. Let me get another mint. I don't want to be yawning for you guys. As you guys know, when I get tired, I yawn. If I don't have candy in my mouth, I'm in trouble. What's your favorite substrate for beginner? Oh, let me see. Stormy Miss has that. What is your favorite substrate for beginner planted shrimp tank? Oh, so with plants, I would say my best favorite substrate would be fluvial shrimp stratum, because that can kind of go both ways. You can increase the KH, and then make that suitable for any kind of neocaridina. But yeah, so I would say fluvial shrimp stratum. I think it's a great substrate. I use it a lot, and that would be the one that I would recommend. Michael Hill said, what do you keep your GH, KH, TDS at for neocaridinas? GH we keep about 15. KH we keep about half that, so about 8. And then TDS we do about 200 to 250. Michael said, also see a huge range they can have, but looking for what is good for health and breeding. So again, 15, 7, and 240 would be really, really good numbers. Tracy Lee said sponge filters. Sponge filters are, again, a good filter for a shrimp tank, but I would definitely go with the Madden filters. Just they're that much better. Sherman is watching. Said, I'm thinking of getting a shrimp tank. Well, think no more and make that purchase, because once you go shrimp, you don't go back. No more fish after that. Michaela's Aqua said, hey, Rob, I've seen conflicting information online about this, but do shrimp stop breeding once they've reached a certain number in the tank? That is a good question. My personal opinion, I would say no. Although, yeah, I would say no. I would think survival rate will go down once a ton of shrimp are in a tank. Just because, like, the adults are going to outcompete the babies for food. You're never going to be able to feed enough. You're going to risk the chance of having a crash in your tank. So I would say the more shrimp in a tank, it's still going to breed just as much, if not more, but your survival rate is going to go down. I would say that for sure. So one good method that I've used, and I know other people that have used it, is you put shrimp in a tank. Let's say you put 20 adults in a tank. They breed. As soon as they release their babies, catch all the adults out, move them to a different tank, and then all the babies will do that much better because they're not competing with adult shrimp for food. So that is a really good strategy. Ryan said, hey, my orange-eyed blue tigers don't eat Shrimp King Complete. Why? So that's crazy. I've personally, we have probably close to 300 aquariums. Most of them, if not all of them, are shrimp. And I can honestly say I've never had a shrimp that would not eat Shrimp King Complete. It could be that they're getting fed so much biofilm and maybe bacteria E and stuff like that that they're not eating it. Maybe starve them for a few days and then feed them, and then they'll start readily accepting it. But yeah, that's interesting. I've personally never had that issue. Lucas Van Pigelen said, "Hey Rob, you always do live streams at other times of the day because I live in the Netherlands and for me it's a bit late now." So Lucas, great question. We usually do live streams on Wednesdays. We kind of took the summer off. I guess it's not the summer. We kind of took the last 3 months off because we have been so busy with building projects and shipping and just basically just growing Flip Aquatics. It's been it's required a lot of attention, but it's been a lot of fun seeing the progress throughout this year. But we will start up the Wednesday early live streams, so it'd be about 3 to 4 hours earlier than this. Low Tech Aquarium says, "How is crushed coral for a substrate?" I would say for shrimp not to use it. It's better just to remineralize your water. Crushed coral leaches too much calcium into the water, which raises your GH. So I would say not to use it, although some people do, and they do it successfully. It's just too much. For a beginner shrimp keeper, I wouldn't do it. Even I wouldn't do it because it's too much work. I would just remineralize the water with a product called Salty Shrimp GH and KH Plus, and then or just GH, and then I would go from there and just set it up perfect. Then you won't have to worry about it. But I wouldn't do crushed coral. Sherman said, "How much shrimp can you have in a 5-gallon or a 2.5 gallon?" So just say 3 shrimp per gallon. Yeah, 3 shrimp per gallon probably would work. So 2.5 gallons, I would do, let's say 7 shrimp. In a 5-gallon, I would do 15 shrimp, so on and so forth. But I mean, you can do more than that, but that's a pretty safe number. Dominic said, "Rob, would shrimp eat scuds or worms that are typically used as live fish food?" No, shrimp will not eat scuds for sure. They usually will not eat worms, although some people do feed their shrimp, what are they called, bloodworms? But I personally don't do that. It's good for tiger shrimp because they need that extra calcium. But they definitely will not eat scuds. Scuds will actually outcompete shrimp for food. And so they could actually cause the shrimp colony to die off. So scuds are a no-go in a shrimp tank, although some people do pull it off successfully. But the baby shrimp survival rate will definitely go down, and then there will be a lack of food. Unholy Order says, "Do cherry shrimp eat crypt plants?" No, they do not. I've never had a freshwater shrimp eat plants, personally. I've never, ever had that. Now, maybe dead plants that are falling apart or have tons of algae on them, they might pick at them. They wouldn't eat a plant. Miguel Rodriguez said, "What about koya wood or cholla wood?" However people want to say it. Everyone always says it's choya wood. So choya wood, we've been using it. I used to not like it. I had a bad experience with it. I think it was the source that it was collected from, and it killed off some of my shrimp. So that wasn't a good thing. But we have been using the choya wood in our new aquariums, like our more expensive shrimp. Reason being is there's lots of holes. It's a very porous wood, so it collects a lot of biofilm, breaks down really easy. The shrimp can actually eat particles off it, the biofilm off it. They can hide inside of it. They can hide in the holes. There's just a lot of good things about choya wood. We also sell that on the website, and I really do feel like it is a good wood. So it's definitely a good thing to have. Pass No Judgment said, "What's up, Rob?" What's going on, Pass No Judgment? "I've had 3 cherries go completely cloudy/white in the past 2 months. Any ideas? They lose the ability to use their feet except their swimming legs. None of them recovered." So if they go completely white, like the whole body, it means a bacterial infection, which means something's off in your water. So you need to figure out what's going on in your aquarium. If it's just the insides of the shrimp, the outside perimeter of the shrimp is still clear, but the inside, the guts, is white, then that's muscle necrosis. That also, I go back and forth. I used to not think it was contagious. Now, when I see it happen, it happens more in the aquarium, and so I'm thinking maybe it's just bad genetics in shrimp, or they're eating the dead ones, things like that. But muscle necrosis is not good either. It's basically like a protein buildup in the body, and it starts like, I don't know if it decays the muscles, but it definitely has an ill effect on muscles. That's why it's called muscle necrosis. And so that's not good for a shrimp tank, so it's good to call those out of there. But you can look up these two things online, muscle necrosis and bacterial infections, or I could do it for you, which would probably be the easiest thing. Yeah, let me just look it up real quick, and then I'll show you guys. All right, so you never know with Google. I never want to have you guys over there and I type something in and then something not good comes up. So let me share my screen. All right, so we're looking for bacterial infections. This is a good example of a bacterial infection right here. See how the shrimp is like completely cloudy? You definitely do not want that. That's a bacterial infection. It will kill the shrimp. It can easily spread to other shrimp in the aquarium. And so this is definitely a bacterial infection. Now, when you look at this to me is actually muscle necrosis. Because you can see like up here, like this pigment is still clear, and this may be clear. It's kind of hard to tell on a cherry shrimp, but muscle necrosis, there will be like an inside line like this that is just solid white. Let's see this one. Yeah, see how like the head up here is still clear. This is still kind of clear. This is still kind of clear. But this is solid white. So this would be muscle necrosis. This isn't as contagious, or it might not be contagious at all. I'm not 100% sure. But when you see this in an aquarium, you definitely want to get it out. So those are the two that you definitely don't want in an aquarium. Stormy asked me, where do you get your tanks and what price? So the best place to get tanks is on Craigslist or at Petco dollar per gallon sale. We personally order our tanks from wholesale now, just because it's a better price, but we don't resell them or anything like that. So that's where we get our tanks from. River Life, what's going on? Oh, what is it? Josh? No. Oh my gosh, Rack Cross is River Life. I don't know why I thought it was Josh, but River Life's in the house. Shout out to River Life. He said, Rob, I may have overstocked my 20-gallon shrimp tank with Malaysian driftwood and low light plants, very tannin rich. How much decor do you recommend? So with everything in life, in excess is not good. So if you got a ton of driftwood in there and the water's like solid brown, it's too much. Your pH is probably way too low. So let me think of a good recommendation. I would say you don't want to fill your tank up with any more than, say, 10% decorations. No, that's too small. Let's say 20% decorations. So like if you think of the volume of your tank, if over 20% of the volume of your tank is decorations, it's too much. So, in a 20-gallon tank, one decent size of Malaysian driftwood won't hurt a thing. But if you have Malaysian driftwood stacked here, 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 and there's just like 50% water versus 50% Malaysian driftwood, not going to be a good thing. Let's see. What is a good rack for 5 gallons or 10 gallons? The best racks are custom made ones, but you can get those racks at like Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's, and you can get all kinds of metal racks for that. Mark's in the house. B. St. John said, see you in the morning. Mark's been doing a lot of work on our new shrimp room. Shout out to him for doing all the hard work that he's been doing. So thanks for stopping in, Marcus. Again, if you guys are thinking about getting into beginner shrimp, I know we're answering a lot of questions today. There's a lot of good information coming in and out. I would recommend you to start with either cherry shrimp or mono shrimp. Those two seem to be the hardiest shrimp out there. A mono shrimp probably being the absolute hardiest. So those ones, if you're really scared, I always start with a mono shrimp. But if you're just like, man, I really want to get into the shrimp hobby, I would highly recommend you to get some cherry shrimp. We're actually running a sale on them this weekend. It's 20 shrimp. That we normally sell the cherry shrimp for $3 a piece, which would be 20 for $60. And this weekend, we have them 20 for $39.99. And all that information is down below. Or you can go over to our website at flipaquatics.com, and it should come up with a pop-up. But if you can't find it for some reason, the coupon code is, I think it's CherrySale. Let me just make sure. It is CherrySale, one word, and that's how you can get some money off on some cherry shrimp. And it's a good time because it's beginning of Christmas, so if you really want them, you could talk your mom into some, or your dad, or your brother or sister, and talk them into getting you some cherry shrimp. So that is going on. Feel free to take advantage of that. Pagan Pride said, while drip acclimating a few cherry shrimp last night, a few of the older ones turned a bluish color, with one turning completely blue. Any idea why? So, what I would guess is cherry shrimp shouldn't turn blue. They really shouldn't. Under any circumstance, I don't believe cherry shrimp should ever turn blue. Now, you could have Bloody Mary shrimp, which whoever sold them to you thought they were cherry shrimp, and then Bloody Marys come from the chocolate line, which means that you could get blue dreams or blacks. So seeing blue, maybe you have Bloody Mary line. And maybe that person that sold them to you took calls, which would be like bad colored shrimp, from their Bloody Mary tank and sold them to you as cherry shrimp. So be careful with that, because if you mix Bloody Marys in with cherry shrimp, you could just really mess up genetics and then start getting some really ugly black shrimp. So, all those kind of things, but that's what I would say about that. And you actually brought up a really cool thing, is drip acclimation. This is a question I feel like we don't talk enough about. So here's how I do things. When we get shrimp in that come in a breather bag, or they come in and they're like completely healthy. No, let me rephrase that. So the only time that we drip acclimate nowadays is when we get cherry shrimp that come in, or any type of shrimp that comes in with a breather bag, and there's no dust in the bag, because breather bags have an equal exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. So you would, if there was ammonia or any kind of toxic chemicals inside, or toxic gases inside the water, the shrimp are going to die, because there's equal exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. In a normal bag, if there's a buildup of ammonia, there's no oxygen exchange. So the ammonia doesn't become toxic to the fish, because lack of oxygen decreases the pH of the water to below 6 or in the 6s, which makes that ammonia not toxic. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. But the short story is, without all the details, if you get a breather bag in and there's shrimp in it and every single one's alive, there's no deaths, drip acclimate. If you get shrimp in that are in a solid bag, it's best to just float the shrimp, cut it open, dump them in. If you drip acclimate every single time, you're probably only going to have one problem every 25 times. If you cut every bag and don't drip acclimate, it's not as good for the shrimp, but you're not going to have as many problems as you would think. So that's just something interesting about acclimating, and it can give you guys some, just some decent pointers. The D. Thomas said, do you think there would be any issues keeping flower/bamboo shrimp and vampire shrimp together in a planted 120-gallon community tank? My heater's making weird noises back there. So I've never kept vampire shrimp, but I have kept a lot of bamboo/flower shrimp, and they are, I don't know what is going on with that heater. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's going. Let me turn it off real quick. It's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, so anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, bamboo shrimp. So bamboo shrimp are very, very peaceful shrimp. I would say if vampire shrimp are also peaceful, then you shouldn't have any problem with keeping them together in a community tank. Not at all. Scott Randall said, what's a good number of shrimp to start with in a 20-gallon tank? I mean, you could start with 10, and that's just fine. That's always a good number. But you could probably start with 30 or 42 and shouldn't have any issues. Noah said, I don't have any snails, though. So I think what Noah's bringing up is I always say snails are a perfect addition to any shrimp tank. And the reason why snails are so important to a shrimp tank is because most shrimp tanks, the shrimp do not produce enough waste to keep beneficial bacteria alive. So if you put a snail in the aquarium, snails are notoriously dirty. They're pretty disgusting. So they poop a lot, they eat a lot, and they're just, I don't know, they're cool looking though. And so if you keep snails in with shrimp, it will keep the tank cycled. The snails will actually eat food that's left over, and which is good for shrimp. It won't, cause ammonia spikes. Their poop, the shrimp actually eat their poop. So it becomes a symbiotic relationship. So I highly recommend keeping snails with shrimp. And snails I would recommend would be mystery snails, because those are my favorite right now. Malaysian trumpet snails are also really, really good. They actually stir up the substrate and pretty much eliminate gas pockets from building up underneath the substrate, which could be toxic to shrimp. And then ram's horn snails I wouldn't recommend. Nearite snails are okay, but they're a little bit more sensitive to ammonia spikes, so those might not be good. Rabbit snails are really good, but again, they're a little sensitive. So I would say the best would be Malaysian trumpet snails and mystery snails. Those tend to do really, really good. Sam Thompson said, really want some cherry shrimp or blue velvets and only have one tank because I'm in college at the moment. I also already have a dwarf gourami. Will they stay well together? So in my experience, dwarf gouramis aren't super aggressive. Gouramis in general can be kind of aggressive. Dwarf gouramis might be okay with shrimp. The bigger shrimp, definitely. The baby shrimp, they might eat. So it was definitely something you can test out. I would do the ghost shrimp test. The ghost shrimp is when you go to the store, you buy a ghost shrimp for like 10 cents. You put it in the aquarium, and if it's still there in 3 days, then it's good to keep shrimp with that fish. And if it's gone like right away, not good to keep shrimp with those fish. Miguel Rodriguez says, what grade of cherry shrimp do you have? So when we import cherry shrimp, what we found is when I import the highest grade cherry shrimp, they turn out not to be the highest grade cherry shrimp. And when I import the lowest grade cherry shrimp, some of them are really high grade, some are low grade. It really just depends. So we personally do not grade cherry shrimp. We just sell them all as the same. So we import the middle of the road cherry shrimp, and some of them end up being painted fire red. Very few end up being cherry shrimp, but it's usually Sakura or higher. So I would say overall they're very, very nice cherry shrimp. Let's see. What's the ideal water change? What percent and how often? Darren Ellerton asked that. The ideal water change would be 10%, and you would do it once a month. That's if you're feeding the appropriate amount, if you're not overfeeding, if everything else in the aquarium is doing pretty good. 10% once a month would be pretty good. You could do 20%. There's nothing wrong with that. You could do 20% once a month, but then you have to make sure the parameters are spot on, the temperature is spot on, things like that. So there's more air. 10% you really can't mess up. I mean, you could, but it's a lot harder. Story Miss said, Rob, you need to sell duckweed. So I did a video today with Corey from Aquarium Co-op and also Jeremy from Sergeant Tank Pets. Sergeant Tank Pets. And at one point in the video, there was a ton of duckweed. And I was like, you can actually sell this stuff. Like, people actually buy duckweed. And so everyone's been saying, yeah, I'll buy duckweed. Like, I'll take some. And so it's just funny how, like, some people hate duckweed while other people are like, give me duckweed. I want it. So it's crazy. That was a fun video, though. The Weiro says, would you put corridors with cherry shrimp or with shrimp? So some corridors would do fine with cherry shrimp. For example, pygmy cories and Habrosus cories will do pretty good with them. I mean, some of the other species will do okay with them, but there are some species that will gobble them up. So I think it's a species by species discussion. Jim Story said, I see tanks with fish and shrimp together. Can you give us a list of fish that can be kept with shrimp? So the easiest way to say this is any fish that has a mouth big enough will eat shrimp. So just know that. So anything that is small can usually be kept with shrimp. Like a lot of the rasboras are fine with shrimp. Killifish can be fine with shrimp. Things like that. Celestial pearl danios. The smaller stuff can usually be kept with fish, but most of those fish will eat baby shrimp. So do know that. What causes the band of death on shrimp? So I'm guessing you mean the band like around their midsection of their back. That's a failed molt. So whenever you see like a shrimp cut in half, it's because they failed to molt, which means they maybe didn't have enough calcium. There weren't enough minerals in the water, things like that. So that's why we feed a product called Shrimp King Complete. Oh no, Shrimp King Mineral. Sorry, Shrimp King Mineral is a great product that just gives that extra little mineral content to the shrimp that keeps them healthy. Green Tea said, what day of the week do you ship? So we actually ship livestock Monday through Wednesday, and then we try to ship normal hard goods Thursday, Friday, and sometimes on Saturday. But we're kind of like, our staffing's a little weird right now, so we're working on it, but we should be shipping 5 days a week here very soon. Viviana said, my blue dream shrimp are reproducing like crazy. They are in a 5-gallon tank. Should I be worried of overstocking? So depending on how many are in there, you probably should start worrying about it. Like I said, the best thing to do is you can take the adults out and move them into a new tank and let the babies grow up in there, and then keep the best looking babies and let those breed and sell the rest, and then just keep the cycle going. It's completely up to you, but there's nothing wrong with starting another shrimp tank. Rory's in the house. He said, hey, Rob, how are you? I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking. I hope you are doing well also. He said, thinking of setting up a new 10-gallon with cherry shrimp. What should I not do? Thank you, sir. So what you should not do is rush it. So you should set it up. You should get plants, driftwood, nice decor, a good matin filter. Let it cycle with a light on it and be adding some ammonia, or maybe put a couple fish in there. Let it cycle for 2 months, add shrimp, and then take it easy. Consistency and patience is the way to success. So that's what I would recommend. Deb in Toledo, Ohio said chili rasbora fish are good with shrimp. I also agree with that. Darren Ellerton said, why are Bloody Mary generally more expensive than cherries? They have better color, and there's more selective breeding involved. So they're not as easy to create as cherry shrimp. My dwarf gourami is super peaceful and leaves my cherry shrimp alone. So Jason Gray said dwarf gouramis are perfectly fine with cherry shrimp. B. Wimmer said, I have a 10-gallon that I was going to set up as a cherry shrimp colony. How many should I start with? Again, I think a good number to start with is 10. But I think 3 shrimp per gallon is a pretty safe way to go. Daniel Lynn said, do you use chillers on your shrimp tanks? No. So here in Ohio, it doesn't really get too hot, so we really don't have to worry about it. We do air condition all of our shrimp rooms and keep them about 72 degrees. Alien said, will you have pink t-shirts? So we actually will have pink t-shirts. We're getting them for Amanda. I don't know if we're going to sell them yet, but we might. Maybe I'll wear one. I don't know. Right now I have navy blue, purple, and red. So those are my colors right now. We might get some different colors. I don't know if we'll list them on the website, but we could. Lucas Van Pigelin said, could you do a video about setting up a matin filter? So matin filters are actually really, really easy to set up. I believe I actually have a video of them. Let me pull up a picture of a matin filter, and then you can really know like how easy they are to set up. So, all right. So if you go to our website, here's our website. If you guys want the cherry shrimp special, here's how you get it. You just click on shrimp special and it'll come up. Then you put in your email and you get the discount code. They just email it to you. Anyway, what are we looking for? So supplies, filtration, mat and filters, made in the USA. If you go here, let's click on the 10-gallon. So I wish there was more pictures, but really all it is this piece of foam right here. You just slide it into a side of your tank where like this is glass and this is glass. And then this lift tube right here, it just goes through this little hole. And there's a little hole like right here. You put airline into that and get the airline down to about here. And then turn the air pump on. And it will force water up through the bottom right here, all the way up through, and shoot out the other side of the mat and filler. Super, super easy. I probably could do a video on it, but it would probably be an extremely boring video. Really boring. Douglas Medlin said, would Dragonstone be good with all the holes for breeding? Yes. So Dragonstone is excellent for shrimp. It has clay. It's basically clay based, so it won't leach anything to the aquarium, or at least it won't leach a lot of anything into the aquarium. So it's a pretty safe thing. And there are a lot of crevices in it, so shrimp can hide in it, but that's also a bad thing. So if you want to see shrimp and actually enjoy them, Dragonstone is going to increase the ability for them to hide, so you're not going to see them as much. But for breeding purposes, Dragonstone would be excellent. And we actually do sell Dragonstone on our website. I don't know if you guys knew this. I'm going to show you real quick. Oops. Let me turn that back on. So this is what we sell on our website. Dragonstone is what he's talking about, which is like this nice holy rock with a lot of crevices in it. Like here's a close-up picture. So this would be great for breeding shrimp. I think is awesome. The only thing is it breaks really easy, which could be a good thing and a bad thing. So like if you drop it, like it's gonna break. But it is a really, really good stone to use. Cirrus stone is also a good one, but it doesn't have as many crevices in it for adult shrimp. But it does have a little. It does have a lot of crevices in it, but they're not good for adult shrimp. They're good for baby shrimp. But this one's gonna release a decent amount of calcium. So it's not as good for shrimp tanks, at least Caridina shrimp, but it would be really good for Neocardinas because it's going to keep your water nice and hard. And then the other one that we had was carved lava rock, which is really porous. So this stuff is really good for biofilm and things like that. And it also does have the holes in it, so it would be good for hiding. But it is somewhat pricey. They're $9 a piece, which I feel like is a decent amount. But, you know, it's just rocks are expensive to ship, and drilling the holes in them is expensive, everything like that. So it is a really great rock, just a little expensive. Let's see. Charles Fish Tank's in the house. I saw him. He said, "Hey, Rob at Flip Aquatics." What's going on, Charles? All right, so I apologize if I missed some of the comments, but I'm scrolling up a little bit of ways. Lord Vader, what's going on, Vader? Star Wars comes out soon. I'm excited for it. Hey, Rob, what's the best cheap substrate for shrimp and growing plants? Also, have you ever thought of doing a live stream with Mark Shrimp Tanks? So Mark Shrimp Tanks is the man. He cracks me up. Really, really great guy, and I'd love to do a video with him. Just the time difference has prevented us from doing so. The cheapest planet tank substrate that I would recommend would probably be fluval shrimp stratum. I mean, you can get away with like things like Fluorite and Eco Complete, but I would say for best bang in the buck, fluval shrimp stratum. Redbeard Aquatics says, oh no, he's not talking to me. Never mind. But what's up, Redbeard Aquatics? That's funny. Nisi said CherrySale is the code. It came out in this awesome newsletter the other day. Thank you so much, Nisi. We do have a newsletter we send out usually once or twice a week, and it just updates everyone on specials, things like that. And so it's a good way to stay informed with sales and everything else that's going on Flip Aquatics related. Who said Aqua said, Rob, my LFS hasn't got any bamboo shrimp in recently. No a good source for bamboo shrimp. We actually sell bamboo shrimp. but we're sold out at the moment. We're getting more in on our next import, which is coming in next week, hopefully, and that's going to be a lot of fun. River Life said, Rob, I featured my awesome new Flip Aquatics shirt in my last video. I will have to check that out, Rack. I'll be excited to see that. Thank you so much for giving us a shout out. Miguel said, can you mix cherry shrimp with Sakura cherry shrimp? Would they breed and lose their coloration? So, Miguel, cherry shrimp, anything that is a cherry shrimp, like cherry shrimp, Sakuras, fire reds, painted fire reds, they're all cherry shrimp. They're just different grades of cherry shrimp. So that's a good thing to know. So mixing Sakuras and cherry shrimp together, they're the same shrimp. So you're not really going to jeopardize their color that much. Jim Maker said, I might need assassin snails sometime soon. Now, one thing to know, assassin snails can eat cherry shrimp. So that is a good thing to know, and any other type of shrimp. Stephen Tomlinson said, will a mono shrimp eat nearite and Malaysian trumpet snail eggs? So Malaysian trumpet snails actually do not have eggs. They're just live bearers. And then nearite snails, I don't know if they would eat them. I really don't know. I'd have to do some more research, but it's possible. Why not ram's horn snails? So I personally do not keep ram horn snails in with my shrimp. Reason being is ram's horn snails, they reproduce like crazy. They actually can outcompete shrimp for food. And so I think that they get a little out of hand and they're not controllable. Whereas all the other ones, if you reduce the amount you feed, you can control the snail population. KG Cichlid said, will some species of plecos kill shrimp? Absolutely. It just depends species by species. But a lot of my friends that breed plecos also keep shrimp in with their plecos. So most plecos will be fine with cherry shrimp or any other type of shrimp. Let's see what else we got. You guys know what's on tonight, right? Walking Dead. I think it's a mid-season finale. I'm really excited. Sharon Benson said, how often do you feed mineral, Shrimp King mineral? So we feed Shrimp King mineral probably twice a week. We feed protein probably twice a week, and then complete 3 times a week. I would say on average, maybe some weeks we only feed mineral once, protein once, complete 3 times, and then do battery AE a couple times. So it depends. It depends. Uh-oh, there's a troll at sea. That's funny. People coming in here and dropping hate. Well, Alex Rubio said, will dwarf cichlids attack your shrimp during breeding? I would say yes. Dwarf cichlids are rather aggressive. CMPI82 said, does that code work for all Neocaridina beginner shrimp? No, so the sale tonight is the code actually is CherrySale, one word, and it is only good for 20 packs of cherry shrimp. Now you could order 2 packs of cherry shrimp and get the code to work for both of them, but it won't work for like other beginner shrimp like carbons or oranges or fancy blues or anything like that. But we probably will do some more sales, being that it is the season for sales. Everyone's doing their Christmas shopping. So we will do other sales, but this will be the best sale that we have on cherry shrimp. All right, I think I'm all caught up. If I missed your question, I apologize. Ask it again because I am completely caught up. 1000 Gecko says, Flip Aquatics at our school, we are doing a 75-gallon tank for a project. What shrimp should I put in a tank? Whew. I would, if it's for a school, I mean, again, any of the beginner shrimp will work as long as you know the basics of keeping shrimp. So, personally, we get orange shrimp just because they stand out and everyone's like, oh my gosh, orange shrimp. Like, that's crazy. But you can do anything. I would personally go with orange shrimp. Can you breed guppies and shrimp in the same tank? Jonathan said that. Jonathan, you can. I know Corey from Aquarium Co-op does it. And you guys say Redbeard right there, Redbeard Aquatics. I think it's Redbeard. Yeah, it is. But yes, you definitely can breed guppies and shrimp in the same tank. You just need a lot of plant cover because guppies, if they will eat baby guppies after they birth them, they will definitely eat baby shrimp. I guarantee you that. Lisa Peterson said, "Hey, I love my mystery box. Thank you so much." Yeah, we've been getting a lot of good things about the mystery box. We did that for Cyber Monday / Small Business Saturday. And so we got a lot of good reviews about that. So thank you guys for that great idea. It was actually you all that came up with it. So that was really cool. Twan D said, best way to create more biofilm. I would feed Bacteria AE. It's basically biofilm ground up. It's a really good way to do it. The other thing is like things like spiderwood grow a lot of biofilm. So maybe add some more spiderwood, driftwood, things like that. And yeah, you'll get more to grow. But Bacteria AE is definitely my #1 suggestion. CMPI said, "Hey Rob, what are those tanks behind you?" So these are actually 4-gallon tanks. They might be 2 gallons. I think they are 2 gallons. These are 2-gallon tanks behind us. Amanda's doing a little project. I won't ruin too much of it, but she's got a couple of those. I might order her some more. And so we're gonna do something a little different behind me. Amanda's kind of doing her thing, so I'm kind of gonna let her run with it and see how it turns out. And hopefully, it does really good. But yep. So that is wrapping up our beginner shrimp day. I know I didn't answer all the questions, but please, if you're watching the replay of this, leave some comments down below. Drop me some questions about beginner shrimp that I may not have answered or I missed, and I would love to answer them in an upcoming video, and I will give you credit if I do answer your question. So definitely leave some comments below. And also, if you're interested in cherry shrimp, the sale goes through Monday, so into Tuesday morning. You guys can get yourself some 20 packs of cherry shrimp for a pretty reasonable price. So definitely check that out. All the information is down below, flipaquatics.com. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I enjoyed spending my Sunday with you. Go watch some NFL football, watch some Walking Dead. Have a good night. So much love to you guys. Happy holiday season with a Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. So much love to you guys. Thank you for all that you're doing. You guys are awesome. Make it a great night. Talk with you guys soon. Much love, guys.